Day, they are doing a support march for this revolution march. The revolution is worldwide. It's always been worldwide. You know, out of Phoenix, you know where the Freedom's Phoenix and rebirth of freedom from the ashes of liberty's torch, there has been a lot of reasons why. And one of those big reasons has been Charles Goyette was a talk show host, has been for many years, owned radio, been in the radio business. He was a talk show host with Clear Channel in the build-up to the war in Iraq, and he refused to support it. Well, they bring him into the office. They got to explain it to you. They said, oh, boy, we got to explain to you how it works. You didn't get the memo? And he's like, no, not doing it. Not doing it. Not doing it, because he knew what was going to happen. He made sure that his listeners understood the truth about economics, the truth about personal, economic, and individual freedom, the truth about what government does to us, the truth about what the proper role of government is. Phoenix has been well served for decades from a man that I call a friend, and that you will find you need his voice all over the world. Charles Goyette.
Yes, good afternoon. Ernie, in his last lifetime, was one of those guys that threw the tea in the harbor. Thanks to all of the organizers of today's event. Thanks to you guys for being here today. Look at all of you. Come on up. Look at you people willing to come out on a sticky Saturday to save the Republic. I guess they didn't know about you, did they? It looks like there are friends of freedom here. There are lectors of liberty here. And that's wonderful, because it is good that one should be free. And we would cherish liberty even if liberty traveled alone. But liberty has companions, and those companions are peace and prosperity. War, on the other hand, the spirit of destruction, is the destroyer of prosperity and the destroyer of liberty. It would mean from the American citizens to the pockets of the governments of Vladimir Putin and Hugo Chavez, and to the oil sheikhs and shahs and sultans of the world. And what did we receive for our warning? We received a two-word reply, which was, shut up. And when we talked about all the saber rattling in the subsequent years and the certainty of oil breaking $100 a barrel, the Washington Party answered in one voice, shut up, they explained. Now, while you dig in your front pocket for $4 or more a gallon so that you can be here today, the Department of Energy that you passed back here on your march from the Washington Monument is taking $25 billion a year out of your back pocket. And what exactly does it do with all those billions? Does it explore the remote and dangerous parts of the world to produce petroleum? Do they risk their own futures and their livelihoods and their own money to recover any energy? Do they take enormous risks of substantial loss? Do they recover it? Do they refine it? Do they market it? Do they transport it to your neighborhood gas station? Of course they don't. Just how much gas do they put in your tank for $25 billion a year? None. Not a drop. But John McCain wants to give you a gas tax break for your summer driving. He'll give you back a few cents a gallon of your own money to buy your affection just in time for November. But in the meantime, he is back and forth and to and fro across the country, beating his chest for a new neocon war that will run the price of petroleum to $400, $500 a barrel, and he'll have you paying $15 a gallon at the super pumper if they have any, but you'll save a few cents a gallon over the course of the summer. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the same flim-flammery that we got from George Bush, who bought his early popularity with tax rebates checks of a couple $100s each. How cheaply the American people sold their affection for those checks, and how many times over have we paid at the gas pump, at the grocery store, and at the reduced value of your savings for the Bush dollar that has lost 40% of its purchasing power since those checks were put into the mail. Not to mention that to cash those checks, the money had to be borrowed from the Chinese, so that your children can be debt slaves to the Chinese the rest of their lives. Now, when you head back home, take note of the overseers of the destruction of the dollar when you pass the Federal Reserve Building. This is a mighty temple befitting the gods of antiquity. There sit the enablers of the wars of empire, without whom such wars could not be waged. Right down there, ironically enough, on Constitution Avenue. All about us are the palaces of the permanent party in Washington. These are whited sepulchres of waste. They have destroyed the dollar. They have lied to you about caring for the retirement money that you have sent their way over a lifetime. It's squandered. It's gone. Toast. Vapor. Dust. At last count, the Pentagon had over 700 bases in 130 countries around the world. 1.4 billion men and women, active duty in uniform, 1.4 million in reserve capacities, military spending, much of it hidden military spending in this country of $1 trillion a year. Now, you just take the Department of Defense spending, $6.23 billion. That is more than all the rest of the world combined. And Barack Obama wants to grow the military. During the Bush years, we have invaded 2 countries. We gave a silent wink and a nod for the destruction of a third, and now, in the waning days of his presidency, we're on the brink of another neocon war. A war without authorization from the people's representatives. Do you remember before the Iraq War, asked about the United States going to war, and Bush replied, "I haven't made up my mind."
Fuck you.
As though in America the people no longer decide.
Really?
Was there a new amendment made to our Constitution? Something about the decidifier? Who gets to decidify issues of life and death? War and peace? Prosperity or poverty? I think not. It is time then to say no more. The President consults on the QT with heads of foreign states about issues of war, American wars, but has he consulted you? This president, Seymour Hersh, tells us is spending $400 million right now to foment a new war with Iran. Did your congressman tell you about that in a newsletter? Did he mention it in the town hall? Maybe in the neighborhood, at the grocery store. Did you hear it from him in church? Of course you did not. It is time to say no more. No more. The permanent power seekers in the halls of power and the halls of waste are in control, and they are like the household staff that is in mutiny. It is your household. It is your country. And it is your staff. They work for you. And they are in a state of mutiny. They are peeping toms, illegally spying on their masters. They are wasting the household wealth. They know no boundaries but run to and fro, alarming the neighbors. The downstairs servants are stealing the silverware. And the upstairs servants won't report it because they share in the plunder. It is time for the people to turn them out, not to replace them with more of the same. Send them all packing. The people must reclaim charge of their own affairs. We must take charge of things like our money and our medicine and our education. We must reclaim our liberty and our peace and our prosperity. And that means, ladies and gentlemen, that means no more foreign wars. That means no more central banks to finance those wars. No more central planners. No more bailouts and billions for the bankers. No more worthless, irredeemable paper money. No more foreign aid. No more foreign wars. No more telling the people how to live. No more lying to us about having looted our retirements and calling it trust funds. No more stealing oil, which is cheaper to buy in any event. No more indebting our children with trillions of dollars borrowed overseas. No more telling our elderly where they can and cannot buy their medicine. No more telling our elderly and people in pain what they can and cannot do to relieve their suffering. From all of their failures, it is no more. That is the message to take back home today, no more.
No more.
Join me and spread this revolution, every city and state of America, in saying, no more. Every town and village of the land, we will shout no more. Every avenue, every street, every cul-de-sac of America, free people together in one voice, no more. And finally, a word to acknowledge our great debt and our gratitude to Ron Paul. For his long, hard fight all the years in Washington that he has been marginalized and ignored. For all the times that he was the lone voice and the lone vote, even while the leaders of the permanent party were laughing at the Constitution and calling it an anachronism. For not taking taxpayer-paid junkets. For not spending every office dime he could grab. For not helping himself to the congressional pension plan. For his uncommon respect for and knowledge of the Constitution. For his grasp of responsible economics that could have prevented the deluge that approaches us now and that could see us through it and back on the road to prosperity if only all the people had listened. Ron Paul, but most especially for his civility and his tirelessness and the inspiration that he has been to all of us here and millions of others who are with us in spirit, those who, like us, love liberty